Hi guys, it's Carisa, and today I'm going to do some prom or special occasion makeup for you. This was a request from Catherine. I want to thank you for requesting this because honestly, I'm in my 30s. I didn't think anybody would care what I had to say about prom makeup. So this is just a recommendation. I am basing this on the fact that when you are that age, you typically don't want to have too much makeup on, I would say, especially when you're going to an event where you'll very likely be dancing and getting sweaty. So I am basing this on that. And as a special bonus for you guys, at the end of the video, I will have pictures from my prom and a couple little stories about it, I guess. So the first thing that I am going to do is apply some foundation. If you can get away with just a BB cream, or if you don't feel you need foundation, skip this step. It's totally not necessary. I'm using the Naked Skin by Urban Decay, and this is color 1. This is a Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. It is my favorite foundation brush, and even if you are only using a BB cream or a tinted moisturizer, this is such a nice way to get an even coverage. Then you'll want to conceal any areas that you have redness, or if you have had any breakouts or anything like that. This is the Kat Von D Lock It Tattoo Concealer, and this stuff lasts for a really long time and I think does a really nice job of concealing redness or marks. Me personally, I am going to put on a little bit of bronzer. This is the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil in Original Chocolate. And I'm just using a big fluffy, I think this is a blush brush or a face brush. And I'm just going around the outside of my face to warm up my complexion a little bit. If you have done any kind of tanning, even if you used a self-tanner, you can skip this step. Next, I'm going to use this Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel to put my brows into a more flattering shape and just lock them in place all night. I'm brushing upward and then kind of over. And if you never use eyeshadow primer, I think that this is the time to do it because it will make sure that your eyeshadow stays and looks nice all night. I am using the Mica eye primer and applying it with my finger just really lightly. You don't need a lot. And I like this one because it does add a little bit of color to my lids as well as a nice base to make the color of the eyeshadow I use stand out more. If you are more comfortable with something a little bit more liquidy, NYX has a really good one as well. Now I'm going to be using the Makeup Geek foiled eyeshadow in the color Magic Act, and it is this really pretty pearly gold color. And I'm going to load it up on this Eco Tools brush. This is a crease brush, I believe. I rarely use it that way, but I'm going to do an all-over shimmer on my lids with this. And you're just going to pack it onto the lid. And then what I like to do is take this taller portion and just sweep it across to kind of help blend it upward. And next I'm going to use this. This is also a Makeup Geek foiled shadow in the Spotlight, and it is a little bit of a peachy pink color. I'm just going to load that up on the same brush and do that from about halfway down my eye onto that side. And you're going to do the same kind of window washer motion on the outside edge with that as well. And then lastly, I'm going to take this color here. This is the Makeup Geek eyeshadow in Preppy. And I'm going to pounce a fluffy dome-shaped brush into that. And I'm just going to touch that to the outer edge and sort of sweep it across like this. And it will just create a nice little bit of depth while also mixing with the little bit of the foiled shadow that you had above your crease. And then I'm just going back into that gold color. I'm going to put a little bit of it under my eyes and go back into that Preppy with the same brush and kind of meet that in the center. Then curl your lashes and apply a couple coats of your favorite mascara. I'm using the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, and put a little tiny bit on your lower lash line. My blush is from the Naked Flushed palette in Streak, and I'm just going to tap that on my face. This is a Japanesque blush brush, and I just want a really soft glow of color, not too much. For my lips, I'm going to use this Wet n Wild Vicious Varnish Highshine lip stain. Whew. And this is in the color Legendary Face. And I'm going to put that on. You can do that over a moisturizer or just bare lips. And you can be done at this point if you prefer, but I am going to add some Ardell Accent lashes just to make this pop a little bit. And these are the 305s in black. I got them on sale. Whether you are experienced with wearing lashes or not, I think that this is the best way to go, especially because it doesn't look overdone that way if you are going for something a little more subtle. I just blob the glue onto the container on the outside, and I stick a Q-tip in it and rub it across so you just get a perfect line of glue. And the side with the longer lashes goes on the outside, just to make sure you put them on correctly. And I just use a pair of tweezers and lower it as close as I can to my lash line on the outer corner. Kind of line it up ahead of time and press it into place. And that is your first finished look. For this, you don't need an eyeshadow primer. You could use one if you want to, but I'm actually going to use this NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in dark brown, and that's going to take the place of a primer as well as help deepen my lids for the look. So what you want to do is take that and just draw all over your eyelid, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Be really gentle and draw it right up into where the crease is. Don't press too hard. Doesn't have to be perfectly filled in. We will take care of that next. Now I'm going to take a short shading brush, eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to go over that and blend that through. And what you want to do is just kind of make it look a little bit more even, but again, don't spend too much time on this step because we are just going to be covering it up. This look would be beautiful on girls with light eyes, like a blue or green eye, but I think it would look good on anybody with any kind of dress. I'm also going to go underneath my eyes with that and take that same brush and blend it through. I'm going to be using these Wet n Wild single eyeshadows. This is Noisette, or Nutty it says also. This is Creme Brulee. You can find these at most drugstores. This is just a matte light flesh color, so you can pick something that looks close to your skin color but a little bit lighter. And this is a nice kind of slightly metallic brown. If you do happen to have a Naked 2 palette, I have a weird feeling that a lot of high school girls do have this palette. If you do happen to have this palette and you don't want to buy anything new, you can just use Foxy and Suspect, which is right here. Now I'm going to take that same brush again, and I'm going to load up a bunch of eyeshadow onto it and pat that over the lid. Just really press it in, and you'll want to do this fairly quickly after you have applied the pencil because it'll be a little bit sticky and it'll really help this adhere. And don't be afraid to get it up into the crease a little bit because we are going to use that to blend it out, and put a little bit on the lash line, lower lash line. Now I'm going to take a fluffy shading brush. You'll want something that's a little bit taller for this. I'm going to dip a little bit of it into the first color, the Nutty, and then I'm also going to pounce it through the lighter color and then start just sort of making that fade up and out into a really nicely blended color. Might feel like you're doing that forever, but the more you're willing to sit and kind of blend, the better the outcome. If you have the luxury of practicing this, if you're not really used to wearing makeup and you have time to practice this before your event, whatever, you know, wherever you'd want to wear it, you will get better at it with time. But I promise you, if you just use these types of techniques and a light hand, you can do this. It's way easier than it might look or seem. I'm also going to just dip into the lighter color a little bit and blend out the bottom. This step is optional, but I'm going to add an additional layer of that pencil just to the outer corner on the lash line. And because the color is so dark, you don't pull your eye and draw a really precise line. You can definitely stop at this step and skip straight ahead to mascara, but because again this is special occasion makeup, I want to add a little bit more oomph to it. So I'm going to take this NYX pigment. This is the Ultra Pearl Mania pigment. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of it, but it's just a nice deep brown. And if you are at the drugstore, either if you've already bought this or you have the eyeshadow you're going to use, just bring it with you and kind of match it closely. It doesn't have to match exactly. I'm just going to spray a teeny bit of makeup setting spray onto a small brush. I'm going to dip the brush in the shadow and just put it on the outside portion of the lid like that. Then you can wipe the brush off and just sort of blend if there is like a seam line between the two colors. At this point, if you need to, you can add a little bit more concealer to your under eye area to make sure that you brighten it up and you get rid of any eyeshadow that has fallen. And then apply a couple of coats of your favorite mascara. For blush, I'm going to use the NYX blush in Terra, and just tap that on. And if you have spots where it looks a little too harsh, like I tend to get sometimes, I take my foundation brush, still with a little bit of foundation left on it from earlier, and I just kind of blend that through, and it can help you also take off a little bit of the excess if you feel you applied too much. For my lips, I'm just going to use a clear gloss, and I have this one by Mineral Fusion. And that can easily be your finished look, but I am going to add false lashes. These are also Ardell Accents in 305. And I did apply those with the dark toned Duo Lash Adhesive. So there is my second look, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I do have a couple of suggestions for you, just things that I've learned over the years. I know that there are a lot of people who like to go tanning. It's so bad for you, and sometimes you can overdo it and look strange in your pictures and not look like yourself. And if you do decide to do self-tanning, make sure it's something you've been familiar with and that you've been doing. Don't just decide to take it up just before this, because that will be a disaster. If you're worried about blemishes, especially if you have a tendency to get hormonal or stress-related breakouts, don't pop them. I know that it's so satisfying and you feel like it's the best thing to do, but I highly recommend using a treatment on the area. It's inexpensive and it's the best way to get rid of them. Two really good options for you are this Murad Acne Spot Fast Fix. You just apply it to the area and it helps dry it right out. I personally have been using for over 10 years just plain tea tree oil. I'll just dab a little bit onto a Q-tip and apply it. Usually I only have to do that once, and it makes a huge difference in the blemish. It dries it right out and flattens it to my face. Usually I will do it at bedtime after I've washed my face and I wake up and the blemish is practically gone, if not gone completely. And now for a little bonus, I will show you some pictures from my prom. I just realized that it has been 15 years this year since my prom. And I know that because I found my prom ticket in my photos. It was mixed in with my photos from that night. And apparently I went to my prom on May 12th in the year 2000. At my school, we had a junior prom and a senior ball. I'm not going to talk about my actual junior prom because it was a miserable affair. I had a long-term boyfriend at the time who was just a jerk, and he was mean, and he didn't want me to have any fun, and he told me I didn't look pretty, and he wouldn't dance with me, and it was just a really bad experience. I didn't really do much for my hair and makeup because the day of, my mother and sister weirdly picked fights with me. I think sometimes events like that can just bring out weird emotions in people, and my mother and sister didn't know how to handle how they were feeling about that, so they just were picking fights with me, and I was crying, and I had gained a little bit of weight, so I was having a hard time zipping my dress, and my sister was like, if you don't stop fighting with me, I'm not going to help you zip your dress. And it was just kind of I didn't look very good, and my mother was supposed to do my hair, and we ran out of time, so she just curled it a little bit and sprayed it. It was a rough night. I don't really have any pictures of that either anymore because we didn't take very many and I wasn't very happy, whatever. But my senior year, I went with a friend in a group of friends. We all went and had such a good time. If you had asked me, would you have had more fun with your boyfriend or with one of your friends, I would have thought it would have been with my boyfriend, but that was not even close to the case. I sat at a table all night pretty much crying. But when we went with our friends, we were dancing, we were laughing, we had such a good time, and I felt like I could really just be me. I didn't have to worry about having a boyfriend who was like, oh, I want you to wear your hair down, or I don't like your dress. I did what I wanted to. I worked at a clothing store called Sims, which was kind of like a Marshall's or TJ Maxx sort of store. And when I was straightening the clothes one day, I found a dress in the evening wear that I thought, I wonder if that would fit me because I would love that for my prom. And it was just a simple kind of sheath dress, strapless. It was a silvery kind of baby blue color. In some lights it looked more silver. Most lights it looked more silver. And I got real matchy-matchy with it, which is something that I wouldn't necessarily do these days, but My friend's mother made us all matching kind of sparkly shawls to wear because all three of us had strapless plain dresses. One was black and one was red and mine was silver. And I wore my hair up. My mother styled my hair. I picked out a tiara because I was like, when else am I going to wear a tiara? I also wore some costume jewelry that my mother had that who knows what she had it for, but I played with it as a little girl and I always would think, oh, I'll wear this to my prom someday. So my necklace was a really old necklace from the early 80s. I got a purse for $5 on a clearance rack at like Claire's. Now for my makeup, my mother used to go to the prescriptives makeup counter a lot at the time, and so one of the women who worked there, who was really familiar with her, offered to do my makeup for the event. She did my makeup for me. She just did a very basic face, a little tiny bit of blush, no big deal, and she did like a soft, silvery, sparkly eyeshadow and a really pretty lip color. The lip color was kind of like this. It was just a little bit slightly darker than my lip color, pretty shiny, and I did purchase that from her so that I could use it to touch up throughout the night. This photo is a little bit bittersweet for me because it's a picture of me and I was posing with a friend of mine, but in the background you can see my handsome husband. I just think that it's so cute that I have that kind of creepy picture of him in the background looking at his date. And if you do decide to do any of these makeup looks, recreate them in any sort of way, please tag me in a picture on Instagram or Twitter so that I can see and take a look at what you've done. I would love to see that and just kind of feel like we hung out and did our makeup together. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you watching this. I appreciate the request. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.